In this day and age, one is foolish if they take other people seriously in their attempts to lead, or perhaps even in their attempts to explain things. But there are three key points and ideas, points of conflict, if you will, that make it crystal clear that the person you are listening to is not doing the right thing if they don't address. Number one, the divine order, the boundaries and positions. How are we going to organize these things? Are we going to have some kind of mediocre organization like Alex Jones and InfoWars with a bunch of unfocused people who are taught in a way that is conducive to an unfocused audience and their intention to remain unfocused? There's boundaries and positions. Should we cheat the most morally superior men out of their rightful places? Certainly not. They must address the idea of the top martial artist through an open sparring challenge, mind you, not a Babylonian system-based challenge, which all these other martial arts groups and schools belong to. Okay? As the ideal man that no woman in her right mind would shun. They must address this idea and grow up if they use some kind of a joke or an oversimplification to avoid it. Consider the history of heroism. Who are the heroes? They are martial artists. And then we have mediocre heroes who conform to Western culture that the West embraces, who are less focused, with regrets, like Martin Luther King. Number two, reproduction. The most well-meaning people other than myself tend to bring up eugenics and population control. How could people avoid these issues? By default, they must be corporate shells. This is top 3 material. People are bred to be evil, stupid cowards. That's why they use the term sheeple. How did they become sheeple? They were bred that way, with the accompanying environmental factors and conditioning, cultivation, etc. People don't explore the possibility that they're bred to be inferior because of their culture. They don't even consider this in their videos. They don't address it. They don't explore it. They leave it to the same people they accuse, rightly so, of eugenics and population control to define it for them. The Ivy League schools, the Rockefellers, the pedophile class. When you think about reproduction, why wouldn't a woman want to date the most well-meaning, honest, and heroic people? Why would she want to play stupid? How do we keep them from playing stupid like they did with me? We should have seen it coming. There needs to be strong rules and effective organization to get this across. Number 3, mental health. The nature of reality is twisted. This is a common propaganda technique, gaslighting, etc. Mental health is used to discredit people. There are publications about the political abuse of psychiatry, or at least documents available on the internet at this point. People are literally institutionalized for a belief in government stalking and a refusal to pretend that it is not reasonable to believe that the government is stalking you in this day and age if you participate in deviant behavior or you have deviant beliefs. Mental health is used to define the boundaries of politics. Where are the politicians talking about the illegitimacy of mental health? They don't exist. They just talk about how much mental health should be used and how. The human rights violations are pervasive. Perhaps the most psychiatrists in popular culture made it clear. The most respected psychiatrists made it clear. The human rights violations for many, many years that continue today by psychiatrists who have a strong link to the intelligence community, the same community that sabotaged the Black Panthers and other grassroots organizations, if you will, who, mind you, were controlled We'll get to that momentarily. They called runaway slaves mentally ill with drapetomania and Samuel Cartwright. Opposition, defiance, disorder, and so on and so forth. Schizophrenia, schizoaffective, quite often are being characterized by a belief that the government is harassing the individual. Number 4. There is no number 4. Once you have these things down, everything else flows from there. The survival needs, the food, the shelter. Since when do honest people who truly mean well back away from danger? That is repugnant. I unconditionally reject that idea. The idea that number 4 should come before the first 3 is insane. It is stupid. It is cowardly. It is the argument of a pussy. It is the argument of a scared little girl and a cowardly little boy. And I don't think it's a coincidence. You'll be hard-pressed to find a man that I wouldn't outmaneuver and murder, is rather kill and overcome in ancient combat. When I was 15 years old, much less 16 when I run this trophy, or 17 in the second picture I will display at the end of this video. So moving on. We see with the communists, the socialists, the progressives, the Christian minister geek who refuses to address the logos or the divine order. We see it with the government shill preachers and so on and so forth. The belief that you should survive and be successful rather than what I teach. To be moral means to accept the punishment. This is a basic martial art idea. How to know that there is a God. My martial arts challenge. The only way to restore the divine order is with no ill-gotten gains. It can't be restored otherwise. If people like me don't approve, and I do not approve, of it continuing without me, without my bloodline, because you didn't stand with me, mind you. You didn't secure a future for me and my bloodline in a world with over 7 billion people where I am the top martial artist. No, there will be no divine order after I die. That is despicable. In a world where my family has been treated with such extreme contempt and disrespect by these kind of worms, there is no divine order in this hellhole after I'm gone. We see the Mr. Miyagis seeking to make their argument. Wax on, wax off, retreat in peace. In this technological age, where even Buddhists in the middle of nowhere are controlled? Absurd. I completely reject the Mr. Miyagi argument. The argument of those who say you should destroy the ego. The ego is your sense of your place. It goes back to number 1. The rightful order. Your rightful place. Why would you want to get rid of it? So you can be their corporate, sniveling, indignant, cowardly sex slave? And train your children to be so as well? Parents that do that should be executed, not promoted, not made socially normative. The new Black Panther Party. It didn't work back then, and why now? Your argument is survival needs, food and shelter, and vengeance, not restoring the divine order or accepting that the world is evil and you can't possibly win. You're 13% of the country. Bobby Seale doesn't even approve of it. You don't even bring up the ghetto informant program. And if you did, it would highlight why you are a government asset, a corporate asset, and you don't mean well. The Egyptian movements that elevate women above the pharaoh and ignore the martial art argument and downplay Horus as the archetype of pharaoh, Ares from the first dynasty. You put the big, fat government slob up, the geek up, and you refuse to consider mind, body, and soul. And your women shun the wisest and the best to elevate fucking corporate assets. Disgraceful. Pathetic. One can't help but wonder if they should be ashamed to be any race, including black, in this world with cowards like you leading the movements. Despicable. You aren't even willing to die and sacrifice your families. You have no business being in charge. None. Fucking cowards. Disgraced. You must be related to the traitors of Pharaoh. You, those who betrayed the blameless one. Seppuku is too honorable a death for cowards like that. the exaggerate their accomplishment corporate model bitch. That's the routine they participate in. 10 toes down for God versus longevity for the devil. They are scum. Now, speaking of the women that embrace them, are you stupid, evil, or both? You date enemies or cowards, conformists, and controlled scum. Or, as controlled filth, you seek to prey on the righteous. You already know what you deserve. Your man is either the boy or the pet of someone's boy. I tell you the truth, at 15 years old, I was more of a man than your man. Much less as the sabotaged hero I am now. You sniveling harlots. You are the whore that let. They took the whore lot. They threw in with you. The whole lot of them. Those sniveling worms. Boy is what they used to call black people. Homeboys is what they call black people, black, Latino, ghetto cultures, urban cultures, prison talk cultures, etc. When we talk about hypermasculinity, it is a reaction to this betrayal. A is what you were supposed to be in the martial arts order, loyal, as real warriors. B is what they made you become, what they would have you be. Lashing out as gangsters because you can't be what you are meant to be. C is what the oppressor wants everyone to see you as. D, think with your dick. E, evil, evil, esoteric, Ebert type of scum. That is the direction. The alphabet, if you will. Alpha male. The non-action in even Superman would be deplorable. Imagine if there was a bunch of people tied to a tracks and Superman was like, I'm worried about food and shelter and my family, so I'm not going to save them. I don't care if he lifted up the whole planet after that with one pinky. He is not mighty. Hero is the master, not the strong coward. There's a moral imperative. There's moral will that is necessary. Moral value. Your values make you of value. Class. See lass. Who she dates is how much class she has. Not how much money she has. Not how effectively she's prostituted herself to the corporate elite that should be depopulated. Moral clarity creates class, not conformity. It's immoral to pretend that you are more moral than the top martial artist, or that you should lead, and even that you shouldn't submit. Heroes in Greek means master. Even when the Greeks were doing the wrong thing and plugging little kids in the butt, they at least understood that idea. They just didn't live it because they were cunning snakes. Action heroes and controlled oppositions want me to create a way for them to cheat me so they can save face with whoever may come across my video. And they can pretend that they are superior. I would rather have my dick cut off and put in my throat for me to choke than to do something despicable like that. I would rather see the whole world tortured to death and be given drugs that make me more emotional while I observe it than submit to these cowards' wants. They are snakes. I am from the most morally sound family, from the tribe of the smartest, most martial arts proficient Africans in the world and in world history, and because of their snake technology, that's how it ends. Martin Luther King resembles my uncle. I resemble Michael Jordan before they blinded, drugged, and crippled me. The truths in this speech outdo any other speech ever made by anyone else in this country, at least. In North and South America, at least. Who, what, when, where, how, why. My spit is above their greatest truths that they have ever declared. I am Pharaoh. Those who do not submit are evil scum that God despises. And those most responsible for screening me out are the most cursed bloodlines. Certainly, they should be disposed of and not followed. Thank you.